Tididum bum bum ba dee da dum ba da dum. Tididum bum 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 ba da da dee da dum. Dee 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 dee. Ya da da da. Oi. Whoa. Amazing to be here with you all. On all three platforms today. Working it out, making it happen. Great to be here with you all. Yes. Alrighty. We welcome everybody. Michael, shalom to you in Germany. And Clem, all the way in Brisbane, Australia, where it's very late. Welcome. Liba and Davida in New York. Hi, good morning. Rabbi, good afternoon to you in Morocco. Welcome. Who else is joining us today? We have Joseph in New Jersey, where it's mild and partly sunny. All right. David, Gold River, California. Welcome. Rusty's with us in Texas. Who else is joining us? Marlene in Florida. Welcome. And we have Elisa in West Virginia. Good morning, TJ. Terrence in Melbourne, Australia, where it's very late. Welcome. John in North Carolina, good morning. Diane is with us in Arizona. Simcha is in Florida. Daphne is having a wonderful Wednesday in South Carolina. All right. Celeste, Chava, is having great vibes in Boulder, Colorado. Beautiful. Jeff in Michigan. Praying for Michigan State, yes. We have on Clubhouse with us Batya, Vilma, Luz, Celeste, David, Yulamad. I don't know if I pronounced that right. My apologies if I didn't. We have with us Akoy, Instagrammers. Astro Akoy is in Lima, Peru. Rachel in South Carolina. Alice is in Baltimore. Who else is joining us? Lucienne has joined. And some others I can't make out. Elise in Georgia. Eugenia is in Calgary with us. Beautiful. Okay. Let's make this all happen. Julie in Pennsylvania, good morning. So what kind of food do you like? Do you like sweet foods that are naturally edible in their sweetness? Or do you like something that's bitter and that you season it and it brings out some great richness in the food and that's more pleasurable? Which one is more divine? I'm sure you never thought of that. We're going to discuss that shortly. But before that, why does it seem that the struggle never ends? The negativity that we have that encompasses us at times well, not just at times, but all times that we feel negativity inside of thoughts, negative thoughts. We thought we've dealt with it. We thought we overcame. But yet we still struggle thinking about a loved one in a negative way. And we know that it's wrong. We know we shouldn't be thinking it. And we still do. Why? Why is that? Come on, can't we move on? So the Alter Rebbe says, no, don't feel depressed about this. Don't be troubled at heart. I mean, be totally troubled. Be somewhat troubled that negative thoughts enter your mind. But don't be totally taken aback by this. The fact that this is what's happening to you day in, day out. And again, maybe even to the same loved ones that you thought you got over and you are beyond and be, in a greater place, a better place. This is not what we need to worry about, because the fact that we're going to engage in this kind of conflict is maybe that's the whole reason you were created for, is to subdue the negativity from within. And that negativity, although the negativity should become, so to speak, more refined. In other words, if we're in the mode of BIT, Beinoni in training, and we're really trying to become new and improved and better people, then the struggle will continue, but it will become in a different place. So whereas before I might have had a negative thought that was kind of very like maybe childish or maybe foolish, maybe kind of primitive. Now the negative thought I have about that person is a little more developed and a little more subtle, but still negative thought. It's more subtle. It's negativity. Well, that means we've progressed, but we're still struggling. Says the Alter Rebbe, well, that's what you were created for. This we can understand in the first chapter, if you remember. Job said that God created the wicked. And the Alter Rebbe questioned in the first chapter, what do you mean? God doesn't create wicked people. Right? That means we have no freedom of choice if he did that. So he didn't create wicked people. What he created is people that are like the wicked, meaning that they are always having negativity in them, negative thoughts. They're created this way to always be this way. In other words, they're never going to become righteous, because the righteous don't have negative thoughts. The righteous have transformed all the negativity from within, and now there isn't any. They don't have any negative thought that really comes from their heart to mind. But that happens with the Beinoni, and for those that are less than the Beinoni, like a BIT, a Beinoni in training, constantly struggling. The war, eternal war against the negative side, to subjugate it and to overcome it. But never being able to annihilate the negative side, the Sitra Acher. Again, that's only accomplished by Tzaddikim, by the righteous. Okay. So now the Alter Rebbe says something fascinating. First, how from the physical things of this world, Chassidus always brings a metaphor from it to understand something divine. Food. It's divine. Let's understand. There are two types of divine pleasure. One comes from the individual, who's the righteous, who's completely annihilated, destroyed the negative side in them. They've converted the bitterness to sweetness, darkness to light. So much so that literally, thought, speech, and action, that there's never any negativity to struggle with. because they've overcome that struggle. That's the righteous. The second type of what? Divine pleasure that God has is from subduing the strong negative side that we have, right? That soars like an eagle, the sitra acher, the animal soul within me, and toppling it down, not allowing it to have any control over me in my self-expression of thought, speech, and action. And that is the Beinoni. And this is alluded to in the verse. Context we need. When Isaac wanted to bless his two sons, or actually I shouldn't say that, his one son, Esav. Yitzchak wanted to bless before his passing to his older of the two twins, Esav or Esau, which at the end of this we'll explain a little more of that story. How could it be that he wanted to give blessings to Esau, who was not a righteous person? Well, we're going to get the understanding over here. And he says to him, oddly enough, make for me delicacies that I love. This is all a metaphor. I mean, there's a simple meaning of it, of course, make me the delicacies. But really what it was, there's two types of delicacies that are heavenly. It's written in the plural form. He didn't say, make me a delicacy. No, delicacies, plural. Because there are two types of physical pleasure that of the palate, because there's two types of divine pleasure that the Shekhinah has, that the divine presence of God. And this is what God asks of us, to please him in two types of divine service. So just as material food, there are two types of delicacies. You have those things that are inherently sweet, like a sweet potato, right? Or a sweet fruit that is luscious naturally. And then you have those things that are sharp or sour, like an eggplant. It's unpleasant to eat it in its natural state. So what do you have to do? You have to spice it well. It needs preparation in order that it becomes a delicacy that can give us vitality and revive us. So too, spiritually, there are two types of delicacies. There are those of the righteous. They give a delicacy, a divine pleasure to God in their divine service. How? Sweetness. That's all they are. They're complete sweet. Not negative in them. Right? Nothing negative. And then there is the Beinoni in us, who we are the Beinoni in training, that we've got things to fix in us. We've got struggles. We've got bitterness. We've got negativity. What do we have to do? We have to spice it up. We have to fix it in order it becomes a divine pleasure. When we subjugate that negativity, that negative thought that comes into our mind, right? When we're in the middle of work, we're in the middle of breakfast, we're in the middle of, some mundane activity, and we push away that negative thought, fulfilling a mitzvah, not going after our eyes and our heart's desire that leads us astray. That's a divine pleasure, as in the divine food. And this is also what the verse means from King Solomon, where he says that Hashem has made everything for his sake. Everything is for God's sake. Even, says King Solomon, the wicked for the day of evil. Wow. So the wicked, as we just learned, the Beinoni is like the wicked because the wicked are struggling. I mean, a proper wicked person is struggling. A real, completely wicked person doesn't struggle and just does their heart's desire for whatever they pleases them. But for those who serve God and struggle trying to become that Beinoni, so that means even for the wicked, meaning for the wicked thought that we have on the day of that evil, of that day that the thought comes to mind, it was also made for God. How? Subjugate it. Push it away. Don't let it control you. That's how it's made for God. Even such a thing. And as we learned, the Zohar said that this is, by subduing the negativity from within us, this is a glory of God that is uplifted on high to the highest heights. Wow. What an empowerment. How powerful. How unreal this is. So empowering. Imagine. We think of negativity as just like, oh, whatever. No, it's all for God. God gave it to me because he has a divine pleasure. He doesn't just like sweet potatoes and sweet apples and, and sweeties. He likes it spiced up. And we're the ones who can spice it up by fixing the food, by fixing ourselves and giving a divine pleasure, by recognizing that negativity that I have and struggling with it is giving pleasure to God. Wow. That's what I was created for, and if that gives divine pleasure, so imagine today, folks, one more time today, you will push away a negative thought because of today's teachings. What have you accomplished, and what have we done collectively then through this is something awesome. And why it's so awesome is because it's really a divine pleasure when you think about it, because it's only between you and God. As we mentioned previously, that when we have a negative thought about a friend, we don't tell them, by the way, I really had a negative thought about you, but I pushed it away. Don't worry, I didn't think about it. We don't say that to anybody, right? In order to get brownie points, because, not getting you brownie points, right? So we keep it to ourselves. So the fact that we have a negative thought and we actually push it away is only because we believe God is privy to it. He knows it. And I know that God is present then in my life at that moment when I do push it away. What a divine pleasure we give at that moment. Yeah. Alice, so tzaddikim have negative thoughts about a Rasha? No. God forbid. That wouldn't be a righteous person having a negative thought about a wicked person would mean they're not righteous. That doesn't mean that they don't see the negativity, but they don't see them as negative, right? They don't see them that way. Any other questions? Davida, aren't we supposed to eat sweet foods after Havdalah so the sweetness of Shabbos stays with us? That's interesting. I don't know if I ever heard of that, Davida, before. If it's true, thank you for sharing, because I'm not aware of that. But sounds good. But the fact I'm not aware of it doesn't mean it can't be. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other thoughts? So who's game with me to make a deliberate, conscious effort today? Let's do that. Let's do this. What a collective divine pleasure that we're taking something from Tanya and actually making it real for us. How? That we're actually being consciously aware of a negative thought and pushing it away at least one time today. I would try twice, one during the day and once in the evening. Just Elise, what does it mean if you love and crave hot and spicy food? What does it mean? It means that you have a struggle with food, which most of us do. Yeah, most of us do have a struggle with some kind of craving, and often with food. We're going to speak about that tomorrow. More about food tomorrow. Any other questions? Any other comments? All right. Amazing. Beautiful. Rambam is coming up. Please do join. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my son's home.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're very welcome. Bella is asking, does this apply to everyone, including someone who's not Jewish? Of course this can apply. You know, that dealing with our negativity and our negative thoughts, absolutely, this is something all of us to work on. Yeah. From a Jewish perspective, it's an obligation.
So, Rabbi,
Yes.
I learned a lot because I listened to different classes about how human beings in general exist in a state of infinite possibilities. So, this whole learning about Judaism specifically is, there's just like a higher level of awareness there, but we're all human. We all have thoughts. We all,
Yeah.
there's that baseline that some people have more, negative thoughts than others, but we can all work on that.
Absolutely. We all struggle with it on different levels of the struggle, as we mentioned. Those who've been learning Tanya for a while now, if you'll think back to 6 months ago or a year ago, and the negative thoughts that would come into your mind, and the ones that come into your mind now, and the duration of how long they last in your mind today versus 6 months ago, a year ago, the quality of that negativity, you will most likely see that it is not the same thing as it was 6 months ago or a year ago. And if it is, then I am not teaching well enough to inspire you to apply the teachings. Because if we apply the teachings, it's not possible that we are in the same space, on the same level that we were 6 months ago or a year ago. If we apply the teachings, and that's why, maybe at the end of every class I need to bring a specific application. So here is a specific application. That deliberately choose today, once during the day and once at night, when a negative thought comes in about somebody, right, somebody in particular, that we shouldn't have the negative thought, right, a loved one. That doesn't mean you can't have seeing a situation and you're making a judgment of something, not the negativity of the person, but of negativity of the situation, right? That, to make that, we're talking about a negative thought that is, we know whatever it is. We're not going to go into details on what that means right now. And push it away. Push it away. Simply push it away because you deliberately choose that this is not something you want to entertain, and you would rather give a divine pleasure to God by pushing it away, subduing your negative nature. That's an amazing thing. Oh, that, right. Davida asks about when Mashiach comes, will the food be as we have food today? I think so. Mashiach didn't come today, we'll find out. What if their actions are really horrible? What do you do about that? We're not talking about their actions. We're not talking about if you see negative action, right? Someone, if you see someone embarrassed another person, right? So we're talking about the fact that was something wrong that a person did, and maybe they need to be taken to task for that. Maybe yes, maybe not, it depends. If they'll listen to what you have to say. We're talking about, you're a rotten person because of that. No, they did a rotten thing, they're not a rotten person. That's what we're talking about. right? That negativity. That's the negativity that making reference particularly to. I hope that's clear. Thank you for those questions so we can clarify things. Should our negative thoughts be different from Russia, from Yids? Hopefully, they are. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Alice. Okay, Rambam coming up. Thank you for joining. Have an amazing, great day. All the best, everybody. Thank you.